I was just sort of sitting in the back of the room today and thinking about how much these Hall of Fame dinners have come to mean. Certainly for me personally, to be able to be in this room with people who I have admired for so long and looked up to. Billy Wimble sitting over there, and Eddie West sitting up in the back here, and Ray Miller, Hall of Fame people. Bugsy's over here. Rainey Charland, God knows, he's probably under a table somewhere. But it is really, really special for us all to be able to get together, and for those of us who have made auto racing our lives to be able to spend some time with the heroes that we watched as we sat in the grandstand. And for me today, to have had an opportunity to meet a new individual who I did watch race a few times, but not a whole lot. Born on May 16th, 1929, as one of 8 children, Sonny Rabideau competed in the most exciting, colorful, and dangerous era of stock car racing in this part of the world. Driving in street clothes without the benefit of any of the safety equipment today's race cars had, beginning in 1952 at the Hinsdale, New Hampshire Speedway, he somehow survived 25 years behind the wheel. If anything, the tracks in Sonny's time were even more evil than the cars. Poorly lighted tracks, darkened, rutted corners. Heavy dust made it hard to find the wall, so hard to find it, in fact, that some drivers missed that they were in the turn and simply drove into it. Worse yet, the walls often broke into pieces when impacted, with wood flying through the air and even flying through the cars. It was more likely to run off the track and into the trees in Keene's first turn than it was to wind up in the front straightaway accepting the winner's trophy. Sonny Rabideau can tell you all about that. He rolled one into the trees in Keene's first turn. To win, as Sonny Rabideau often did, was to be braver than the next guy. All of the good ones who stuck around to win multiple track championships knew people who died driving cars just like theirs on the same tracks they raced on, and too often even in the same events in which they competed. So it took a tough and courageous guy to mash the gas in the face of so many disastrous crashes that were part of this sport's early days. But courage alone wasn't enough. There had to be a willingness to work on the car late at night, and then the next day go out and do a regular job to earn a living. There was a need to be creative with equipment, as much as there was a need to be creative in finding a line around all the ruts in those dirt tracks. It was a time when the driver truly mattered. Sonny Rabideau distinguished himself as one of the greats. It was a tough time to stand out because he raced against near Hall of Famers Art Russo, Rainey Charland, Ernie Gahan, Bugsy Stevens, Don Rounds, Ollie Silva, and Ralph Cusack, as well as others who will surely one day come here to be inducted into this Hall of Fame. So many great names: Pappy Forsythe, George Jadowski, Lionel Arell, Jimmy Kohler, Cecil Bosworth, Ed Foley, and Ted Brown finished behind Sonny Rabideau on so many Saturday nights and Sunday afternoons. Sonny's favorite track was the Claremont, New Hampshire Speedway, where he won 6 championships in 1954, 61, 64, 65, 66, and 1970. He also won championships in Vermont. And for those who believe champions should win races, Sonny is a guy you can proudly cheer for. I asked him to bring some of his scrapbooks today, and he did. And their yellow pages are filled page after page after page of newspaper clippings. Sonny Rabideau wins the 3rd in a row. Sonny Rabideau wins again. Sonny Rabideau wins and wins. He won a documented 71 feature events at Claremont alone. 11 more documented features at Fairmont and Rutland, 10 at Monadnock, 11 at Keene, 4 at Brattleboro. All those are documented, and they total 108, but surely there are many more, perhaps twice as many. The list of places where he raced up front includes some of the most competitive tracks in the history of New England stock car racing, and he won at so many of them. Stafford Springs, Keene, Fairmont, Hinsdale, Rhythm Inn, Mallett's Bay, and Rutland, both in Vermont, Lebanon Valley in New York, and others. His schedule was simple, 4 or 5 nights a week he raced. His number 311 is surely one of the most famous of his rides, made that way because of Sonny's adventuresome drives from the back of the pack to the front on dusty, rutted dirt tracks. Together, Sonny Rabideau, the owner of the number 311 Stroker Smith, and that car won a documented 42 features together. No doubt there were many more wins that never made it into the record book that survives to this day. The car was restored by Sonny's great friend Terry Mark, who is here with Sonny today. The car was twice salvaged from oblivion, once from a town dump and once from a dumpster. Today, it's a proud reminder of one of stock car racing's great eras and one of the top drivers from that era. And for that, thank you, Terry Mark. One of Sonny's rides had a body, and I saw this when I was a kid. It had a body that was so full of holes it made a piece of Swiss cheese look like it was solid. Those holes were drilled there to lighten the car, and literally you could see right through it. That was a flathead. Sonny made the transition from cars like that to the high horsepower V8s. And no ride in those V8s was more fearsome than Lionel Laurel's DN3, a car I watched as a kid. It had a huge twin carbureted Chrysler engine under the hood that seemed to dwarf the rest of the car. To call the DN3 a cut-down was generous. There was so little to it. Sonny sat over the rear axle, which was connected to the transmission by a drive shaft just 13 inches in length. The DN3 even had a different sound to it. It was fast on the straights, but evil in the corners. And a testimony to Sonny's skill as a driver was the fact that he managed to win in that beast. It was nicknamed the Beast, despite its awful handling. While many racers of his era couldn't keep a family and their racing schedule together at the same time, Sonny Rabideau managed to stick with the love of his life, and she with him, from the day they were married in 1959. For more than 45 years they have been together, which is an accomplishment for anyone to be proud of. But for someone who raced as hard and as often as Sonny did, it's a testimony to both. Wife Beverly is here at his side, as are their 2 children, Wendy and John. And would the 3 of you please stand up, because Sonny didn't do this alone. You were all a help. Round of applause for Sonny's family. And the rest of the folks at that table, those are grandchildren of Sonny Rabideau and his wife Beverly. It's too bad more of the tracks Sonny raced at aren't still in business and with halls of fame, because if they were, Sonny would surely be inducted there. More than 20 years ago, he was inducted into the Claremont Speedway Hall of Fame, so this is his second. Today, Sonny continues to work in support of his family, even though at age 75, most of his contemporaries have since retired. He has proven himself as a racer, a family man, a man who deserves to be inducted in the New England Auto Racers Hall of Fame. Ladies and gentlemen, Sonny Rabideau.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for showing. I'm not a man that can speak on these things, so it's not going to take very long, I hope. I just wanted to thank all of you who have made this happen. My family and I are very proud, and I personally like to thank Dick for the different things he's done for me. Thank you very much.
Thank you.